Today we go to Israel. Well, it's calling up tens of thousands of reserves as it prepares to intensify and expand its war on Hamas. The mission? To conquer Gaza and hold the territory.
Israel's also promising retaliation after a Houthi missile strike near Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport on Sunday. CBN's Chris Mitchell reports.
The Security Cabinet today unanimously approved the plan to expand the Gaza operation, providing for the conquering of Gaza and holding the territories.
The army has the plans ready to take over the Gaza Strip. The government thinks this should be done. The question is the timing and how do you balance between the need to bring back the hostages on one hand and destroying Hamas on the other hand.
The announcement comes one day after a Houthi missile hit Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport. Netanyahu warned the Houthis and Iran they both bear responsibility for the attack.
We will not tolerate it. We will take very strong action against them. And we always remember that they act with their patron Iran's direction and support.
On X, Netanyahu reposted an earlier message by President Trump blaming Iran for Houthi attacks and added, President Trump is absolutely right. Attacks by the Houthis emanate from Iran. Israel will respond to the Houthi attack against our main airport and at a time and place of our choosing to their Iranian terror masters. This is the main entrance into David Ben Gurion Airport. Just across the road, you can see where the Houthi missile hit from nearly 1,400 miles away. Whoa! Social media lit up with footage of when the missile hit about 350 yards from the main airport terminal. After the strike, the Houthis announced a complete aerial blockade of Ben Gurion Airport.
The airport operations were completely halted for more than an hour. With this, the Yemeni armed forces reaffirmed their warning to all international airlines to cease flights to Ben Gurion Airport, as it has become unsafe for air navigation.
The attack left passengers stranded after multiple airlines temporarily canceled their flights. It's uncertain when those flights will resume. Also this weekend, Iran unveiled a new missile it says can bypass the U.S. THAAD anti-ballistic defense system with ease, and said American bases are their targets.
If we are attacked, if a war is imposed on us, we will give a powerful response. We will attack their interests, their bases, without any reservations or limitations.
Meanwhile, IDF Chief of Staff General Eyal Zamir announced they're calling up tens of thousands of reserves in order to defeat the terror group and bring the hostages home.
Well, Chris Mitchell is with us now, live from Jerusalem. So, Chris, the goal to conquer Gaza, now hold the territories. This is a really big shift in Israel's strategy. What are the risks to this?
Well, it's a very big shift right now, Gordon, because since the beginning of the war, the previous strategy has been based on special operations, clear an area, but then leave it. And that's why some troops have literally captured areas multiple times. So the new strategy, divide and rule, clear the territory, but remain and not allow Hamas back in. So it's a dramatic change. The IDF controls right now about 30% of Gaza. They want to destroy Hamas infrastructure, eliminate Hamas as a threat, and then push Hamas and the population into humanitarian zones. And this hopefully will pressure Hamas to release the hostages. What are the risks? Well, you have combatants in harm's way, now up to 60,000. And you have tens of thousands of those reservists. That pays a price for their families, businesses, jobs. Also, civilian casualties. Hamas uses their own population as human shields. And obviously, it poses a risk to the hostages. Will Hamas yield and release them? Or, God forbid, simply kill them? The IDF chief did say, along with this plan, they could lose some of the hostages.
Well, Israel has controlled Gaza years ago. Let's go back to Prime Minister Sharon and the famous withdrawal. And then all Jews left the Gaza Strip and they were turned over to elections. It was under pressure from the Bush administration. There was supposed to be this Arab Spring. And if democracy is introduced, they would choose freedom, they would choose peace, all of these things. So it seems to be a complete repudiation of that withdrawal. Are they planning to hold it temporarily, or is this a long-term strategy?
Gordon, I think it's a long-term strategy that they would hold Gaza and control it. And we'll see what happens after that, if they can achieve that total control of the Gaza Strip. But I think this is a long-term strategy that they hope will put the pressure on Hamas and stop this, going over and over the same territory over and over with these special operations. And when you refer to Sharon's withdrawal, that's such a tragedy, Gordon. It really has led to what we had on October 7th by yielding the Gaza Strip, which people thought would be the Singapore of the Mediterranean. It turned out to be Hamas-stan.
Well, with all the reservists being called up, what's the reaction from the Israeli public? How are they reacting to it?
Well, some people are objecting because it puts risk of the hostages. That's one of the main things that people are saying. But there's also groups that, like the Tikva Forum, hostage families, they believe that pressure on Hamas will be the goal to bring the hostages home. As I said, it's going to put a greater burden on tens of thousands of families. But the new plan actually, Gordon, actually sets clear strategic goals. They'll probably start gradually, and they'll likely begin after President Trump visits the region next week. Netanyahu said recently, in wars, you reach a decision, which is victory. And I think there's been this is part of the whole change of strategy. And Amir Avivi, who we talked in our report, he said the operation, when it gets going, is going to be vast and decisive.
Let's turn to the Houthi attack on Ben Gurion Airport. Was that one of these new missiles that the Iranians claim can evade radars of defensive systems? Is that what this attack was, or was it a more conventional ballistic missile?
It was a more conventional ballistic missiles, and apparently the IDF says that it was a failure of the interceptor to work. Actually, they've intercepted, of the last 27 ballistic missiles fired by the Houthis, they've intercepted 26 of them. When I was there yesterday, Gordon, the 27th that actually made it through was so close to the airport, literally just like a few football fields away. It could have been far worse if it really hit the terminal and the runways, or God forbid, one of the airplanes. And so the goal of the Houthis, obviously, to shut down the airport. They succeeded for a few hours, but it has a long-term impact on the international flights, especially on tourism, which is the economic lifeline of Israel. And we'll see what happens. And I also found out that, people have asked, how can they still fire missiles after the U.S. campaign for many weeks? And apparently the Houthis have been hiding mobile launchers for years in the desert. And apparently that's how they've been able to fire these in the last few weeks.
Any prediction on the Israeli response? How would they respond to the attack?
Well, I think three ways. Perhaps sabotage inside Iran, covert actions, also pinpointing strikes against the Houthis, and finally diplomatic pressure, Gordon. I think this maybe, gives the lie to some people here about these U.S.-Iranian talks, and maybe people will see that they may be futile as Iran continues to feed its Houthis with ICBMs.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining with us. There's certainly a lot to pray for, and a lot to pray for Israel and for peace in the Middle East. For those of you watching at home, be aware that there's a new propaganda campaign coming out of the Palestinians, out of Hamas, and it's talking about how can you support genocide of children, the aid workers, the health workers that were killed by Israeli strike, all of these things. And my response to all of that critique is Hamas started this, and it started it horrifically on October 7th. The massacre, the brutalization of dead bodies, the kidnapping of small children, the still holding hostages. The answer to the humanitarian crisis is for Hamas to lay down their arms and unconditionally surrender and turn back all of the hostages. Without that, there won't be peace in Gaza, and Israel has an absolute right to defend itself and to go and retrieve their citizens who've been taken hostage. The blame entirely is on Hamas. Before October 7th, Israel was living at peace. There weren't any troops deployed in Gaza. none of this was happening. And Hamas is the one that started it. Israel is going to be the one who finishes it.